Welcome back to another Physionic video, guys. Today we're going to be discussing the topic of toning. So if you've ever heard of people talking, it tends to be women, but certainly some men talk about it as well, of toning their muscles. That is what we will be covering in this video. So first of all, we're going to cover what toning is. Then secondly, we will be covering the science behind if toning truly exists. So we're going to cover a little bit of basic physiology when it comes to uncovering if toning truly exists. So if that is something that you're interested in, if you want to know, of course, more details, then check out the article that is linked below that I have written myself, as well as my citations are listed in that article. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's do it. Let's do it. So in terms of what is toning, most people, when you talk to a person in the gym, the layman, they talk about toning, they're typically talking about a slimming of the muscles. So the idea is to think of musculature in different terms. So you have bulking, like a bodybuilder would bulk to bulk up their muscles. And then we have on the other spectrum toning, where we slim down the muscles. Now, that is what's typically used. There are other definitions of toning, but that's what we're going to be dissecting in the next section. So let's do that. So, the big question, is toning a physiological reality? No, it is not. It is absolutely not a physiological reality. Toning in the terms that we have created, so the definition that we ended up coming up with of slimming the muscles, is not a reality. When it comes to musculature for every single human being, we need to go through the same process of muscle hypertrophy, so muscle growth and fat loss, for us to see a toned type of musculature. So if you see a big bodybuilder and you think, okay, well, I don't want to turn out to be like him, well, have no fear. Although the process of toning in terms of having slim muscles, slim looking muscles, although there's no physiological way to get just slim muscles, it's not like we have a particular rep range or particular exercises or anything that creates slim muscles. That cannot occur. However, we can build muscle just like that big bodybuilder that you see in the gym. You can build muscle just like he is or just like she is, but on top of that you also strip away the fat, which is again something that he would do as well or she would do as well. So what's the difference between that? What's the difference between just wanting to tone or slim down as opposed to being big and bulky or strong and muscular? You know, no big deal. That is the only difference between those two, is the amount of attention that you put towards your training and towards your diet. That is it. But when it comes to the actual physiological effect, it's the exact same between the hardcore bodybuilder and the person who just wants to tone. In that case, we are still talking about muscle hypertrophy. So a building of the musculature and a decrease of the fat mass around that musculature. That is it. There's nothing else to it. And if you want to know more about muscle hypertrophy in its nitty-gritty details, then you can check out my video on that, which I will have linked in the description box. That's that. Toning does not exist. This is the summary of the video for those of you that need a quick recap. If not, please subscribe and check out the attached article. This video is really short, so I don't really know why I'm adding a summary section, but for you guys that want to combine both sections, What is toning? Well, the traditional idea of toning is that you slim the musculature. So you're slimming your muscles as opposed to growing big, bulky muscles. That is, however, not a reality. That is not a physiological reality, because in physiology, for every human being, woman, man alike, goals alike, you can only increase your musculature and increase your fat mass, or decrease your musculature or decrease your fat mass. That's it. That's all you can do. So really the difference between a hardcore bodybuilder that builds massive biceps or massive muscles in general and a person who just wants to tone is the amount of attention that they put towards their training. So one person, the bodybuilder, would put tons and tons of work into, like, do 10 sets, for example, of 5 repetitions per set, and that would build them a certain amount of muscle. And a person who wants to tone would do something like 3 sets, or maybe would do the same amount but would then cut back eventually, so that once they get to the point where they've built enough musculature and they're satisfied with the overall tone of their muscle, which would be that balance between, again, that fat mass and musculature, then they would kind of tone it back. Pun kind of intended there. They would tone back up on their volume and their intensity, while the bodybuilder would continue to try and progress and progress and progress in intensity and volume. So that's the only difference between those two people. So if you're afraid, or if you think that there's a particular rep range that you have to be in, or a particular exercise that you need to do or that you need to avoid, for example, that is not the case. You need to be doing the exact same thing as anybody else in the gym that wants to build muscle or that even wants to compete, but you just scale it back. You just scale it back. That's it. Okay, hopefully the video was informative to you. Of course, check out my sources and check out my article that has things in more detail down below in the description box. And I would certainly appreciate it if you subscribed, liked, and shared the video. That said, I hope you have an awesome day, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.